Good evening. This is CTV News for Friday, February the 8th. I'm Sonia Shrivastava. Thank you for joining us this evening. Well, a former soccer coach who worked at a Landover private school has been sentenced to 7 years behind bars. Charles Vassar had a sexual relationship with one of the girls on his team. Our Denise Douglas has the details.
The judge told Charles Vassar that he violated the trust that the victim, her parents, and everyone had in him as a coach. She went on to say that people entrusted to caring for children must be smarter and brighter, and he was the exact opposite. Vassar carried on a relationship with a 16-year-old girl who was on his soccer team at Riverdale Baptist School. The two had sex on the field, on school grounds, and at practice. The victim and her parents were in the courtroom. In a letter that the prosecutor read to the court from the girl, she said Vassar ruined her life, taking her from a very happy place to a dark one. Now, though Vassar and members of his family pled with the judge for a second chance prior to sentencing, she handed down the 7 years.
So 35 years is the total, but with him serving concurrently, the 7 years is what he's looking at. For his sentence. Certainly, I think that it's a fair sentence, and we did ask for a sentence that was within guidelines. His guidelines were 25 to 60 years, so Judge Cotton did give a sentence within the guidelines. The most important thing is that Mr. Vassar will have to register as a child sexual offender. And that's good to know, and because he'll be on the registry, so anyone will be able to find him, anyone living near him.
Vassar will also be subject to 5 years probation when he's released, and the judge also told him that he will not be able to have contact with any female children under the age of 18. I'm Denise Douglas in Upper Marlboro, CTV News.
Now, Vassar will also have to register as a sex offender once he is released. Well, more than 50 members of the Jericho City of Praise Church in Landover gathered at the courthouse in Upper Marlboro today. You may recall Pastor Joel Peebles was ousted by the church's board last April for financial mismanagement after his mother, Apostle Betty Peebles, the founder of the church, passed away. Now, Joel Peebles and his supporters have been caught in a nasty fight with the board, which they believe has too much control.
The case that we're all here on today is one of corporate formation. Within the state of Maryland, as a religious body, if you seek to establish a religious corporation, you have to have a vote of the members of the congregation who are 18 years of age or older. They will take a vote and they will select the incorporators. And literally, that paperwork was filed. It was alleged that that vote took place, but the vote never took place.
We're at a place in our hearts that we have a spirit of unity. We are excited about the wonderful folks that continue to join the ministry. Many of you know.
Now, Pastor Peebles started City of Praise Church Ministries last year and currently holds sermons at Eleanor Roosevelt High School in Greenbelt. Now, we did reach out to the board, but they did not get back to us before news time. And speaking of the weather here, more than 50,000 Pepco customers lose power after a transmission line goes down. The outage impacted 28 public schools and numerous businesses. Reporter Makia Turner is in Capitol Heights, where one shopping center had to be evacuated.
I'm standing here outside of a couple stores here at the Addison Plaza, and earlier today we were told that several customers were evacuated from the premises. This after a number of calls reached the fire department about an underground transformer that was said to be overcharged. Now, this was as said to be a result of several thousand power outages that happened earlier this morning, and this business wasn't the only one affected. We're told that more than a dozen schools in the area were without power, and as well as residents behind this shopping center here. Now, we just spoke to a couple of customers that tell us how frustrating this day has been.
Everything keeps going off and on, so it's been on now for like 10 minutes, but it's been out 3 times.
I noticed you were out here before the power was turned back on and you were able to go back inside, and only for you to be in there and the lights go out. Tell me, how do you feel about that?
I feel disappointed because, what's going to happen if I can't get my cake tomorrow?
How do the power outages today make you feel?
somewhat frustrating because I got to go far to get his cake.
No good. This time, no good.
How did you feel? Were you worried?
Yes, worried.
We were in the midst of a power outage where Pepco had about 25,000 customers in Prince George's County without power. During that event, citizens noticed that a transformer that's underground and some residences on 68th Place and Seat Pleasant was making some very strange noises, very loud noises, emitting an electrical odor, and just in general was acting unusual. The Pepco technician that was on the scene with the firefighters said there was a possibility that transformer could explode. So as a precaution, we evacuated all the stores, customers, and employees from Addison Plaza and about 20 homes on 68th Place.
Since we've been here, the power has been on and off, but we touched base with Pepco, who says they're working to get the power up and running throughout the county. They also told us that 4 substations were impacted by this, but they will be turned on one by one as soon as possible. In Capitol Heights, I'm Makia Turner, CTV News.
And by late afternoon, Pepco said only 2,100 customers were still without power, and those should be restored soon. Well, former Prince George's County Councilwoman Leslie Johnson is released from custody. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, she was freed on January the 18th. Johnson was sentenced to a year and a day for her role in an extensive corruption scheme led by her husband, former county executive Jack Johnson. She pleaded guilty to witness tampering and destruction of evidence after admitting to flushing a $100,000 bribe check down the toilet. Now, as FBI agents arrived at the couple's home, she also stuffed nearly $80,000 into her underclothes. Leslie Johnson has reported to Alderson Federal Prison in West Virginia last March. She was released after 10 months for good behavior. Jack Johnson began serving his 7-year prison sentence in North Carolina last February. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Sonia Srivastava.